In this video, we're going to be talking about some must-know tips and tricks, especially when getting into PulseChain and interacting with certain protocols. And of course, we're going to be talking about that juicy yield 24/7 that you can get when you participate in the Power City ecosystem. So with no further ado, let me bring up my partner in crime, Mr. Just Ask Jesse.
Hey, y'all.
Jesse in the house. How you doing, man?
Good.
Good to see you. Good to see you. It's a new month. Earn's been live pretty much a month. How are things looking with that?
Things are looking good in light of the recent dips that we've seen on the chain in things like Pulse and PulseX. It's holding up really, really well. So it's important to know, like, when the value of the collateral dips, you'll tend to see people paying back their vaults. Some stablecoins that have been minted will then burn themselves out of existence through people paying off either their own vault or other people paying off vaults via redemptions. So right now the PXDC supply is 8.52 million. We've seen that I don't know, 2x, a little more than 2 point something x higher than that. But we've also taken some really giant dips in the price of PulseX since we launched. So this is normal. When the value of the collateral goes down, there's going to be less stable coins because there's just literally that much less value that people can mint against. When the value of this collateral goes up, people have excess collateral. They want to do something with all that value. They start minting more. You see more stable coins come into existence. So it's doing quite well.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about, we've touched on in previous lives, and we're going to touch on this one, what you can do with those stables, you know, how you can put your money to work for you, so to say, in DeFi. But I think we're going to touch on some tips and tricks for people, you know, who are in PulseChain, want to get into PulseChain. Obviously, PortalX Swap, our first DApp, is a great way to access PulseChain. But there's a few minor tweaks that people need to have a look at. So maybe we could touch on that. Let me pull that up here as well. So let me just change it. And then, sorry, I need to, what's going on? Okay, sorry. So I just need to pull this up here. Okay, here we are. You can see that?
All right, so this is PortalX Swap, right? And it swaps across 60-some blockchains. You can go from pretty much any token that you own in crypto to any other token somewhere else. Now, the challenge with PulseChain is the available, where is the available supply? So where is Pulse located, right? Most of it's on PulseChain itself. There's no known exchanges that carry it. There's limited liquidity pools on other chains. Okay, so going from an external chain, like let's say AVAX, Phantom Chain, BNB, somewhere like that, and trying to find a route into PulseChain can be very challenging because where's the liquidity? Who has it? Now, one of our partners, Change Now, has limited liquidity. You can do swaps from anywhere in a PulseChain with, say, $1,000 or maybe $1,500 worth of value. You can have a coin on another chain, BNB, for example, swap, say $1,000 worth into Pulse. Come on into Pulse. It's going to go through Change Now, but low liquidity. You can't come in with thousands upon thousands of dollars. Now, Richard's official bridge, Pulse Ramp, or Pulse Bridge, some people call it, it works a little bit differently in how it produces the tokens on chain. So basically, you can go from Ethereum using the official bridge, and it will lock up your tokens into a contract, and it'll mint you a new token on PulseChain. And when you do that sort of bridging, there's infinite liquidity because you don't require their external liquidity pools to house or hold any pulse. It's a simple lockup and mint. And then people going out of PulseChain, it's the opposite. It's a burn and then a redeem for the original token going the other way back to Ethereum. Now, what a lot of people haven't realized yet, and maybe there's a way for us to make this more clear, a tooltip or something at the top. Maybe there's something more we can do besides this video to make it clear to people that Portal X will use the official bridge, and there's infinite liquidity to come into PulseChain. So let's go through an example of what that looks like. So you're starting on Ethereum. You hate it over there. The gas fees are too much to bear. You say, well, I'm coming over to PulseChain. Well, select any token you want. In this case, let's go with ETH. And now in the box underneath that, we're going to find PulseChain. And then we're going to find wrapped ETH is what you want to end up with. Wrapped ETH from Ethereum. Wrapped ETH from Ethereum. There you go. Okay. Now you can enter any amount you want. You can put 100 of these things, 1,000 of these things. It will all work. And look, the provider that it populates is PulseChain Bridge, and you can come in with there's infinite liquidity. Now let's try a different token. Let's go with one of the stable coins. Let's start with USDC, which is popular. By the way, why is that popular? People can come into Coinbase, buy some USDC. The fees on Coinbase, for example, are like non-existent for USDC. Blast that over to your Ethereum wallet, and then use this tool to bridge that into PulseChain. So on the PulseChain section here, we'll switch that to USDC from Ethereum. And we want to bridge in 1 million of those. Watch what happens. There you go. Look, infinite liquidity. All right. So once you learn that, oh, okay, I just have to put the right numbers in here or select the correct tokens. I'm coming from Ethereum. And if I'm going through the official bridge, what am I going to end up with? Well, that's going to be, in this case, USDC from Ethereum, right? And look what it does. Now let's switch something up and watch it populate nothing at all. All right. Just to show you, what if you started with USDC on Ethereum and the token you want to end up with is, say, Pulse. Okay. It's not going to find anything. No routes available. Now change that USDC down to 1,000. No routes available. Change it to 100. There you go. Change now at the moment, based on the weighting in whatever liquidity pool, how they house their liquidity at the moment, they'll be able to handle $100. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. I think they have like this thing gets weighted depending on how many people are leaving versus coming, and they probably have to rearrange their liquidity on another side. So right now it's like, okay, it'll handle $100. It'll probably handle more, but you see how it populates change now? But that's it. It's limited. It's very limited. So if you want unlimited, you just have to select the correct token. So USDC on Ethereum, PulseChain would be USDC from Ethereum on PulseChain. This should give you
99.9.
There you go, PulseChain Bridge. Okay, so it's not that hard, but people are missing this. They, and once you've done it once, it's like, oh, that makes sense. So I hope that's clear to everybody. There's also, we need for everyone to pay very close attention in the coming, we'll say, 2 days. On-chain swaps So PulseChain, swapping to something else on PulseChain, has been disabled for a period of time. Why? Because we're going through a major upgrade, and we're just about done. You're going to see some pretty amazing things happen with your on-chain swaps using Portal X here in the next couple days. Keep an eye out. There'll be a giant announcement about it. People are going to get some pretty amazing rates for swapping across inside of PulseChain in the coming days.
Awesome.
As soon as we turn that back on for everyone.
So stay tuned for that, guys. And just to reiterate, the crux of what we just talked about is when you're bridging in via Portal X swap into PulseChain, just choose the same token, the wrapped version on PulseChain from Ethereum or wherever you're coming from, and then you'll have infinite liquidity. It will have to be from Ethereum because that's the official bridge. So that's obviously people were not having favorable swaps before because they weren't doing this, right? And some people were losing a percentage or a larger percentage than they should have.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to lose a little, so there's a fee. Richard's bridge has a 0.3% fee. You can see that our bridge will have a small fee added on top of that. But the biggest issue was there's just no it's hard to find liquidity for Pulse anywhere except Ethereum, unless you're in small amounts, and it's going through Change Now.
Gotcha. So another topic that we need to touch on is redemptions. Obviously, redemptions got turned on recently in the OWN protocol. It's a function that's needed to keep PXDC at $1 or close to $1, but it's not your only option, right? If you want
definitely not your only option. You always have the ability to redeem your PXDC directly inside of OWN protocol for $1 worth of PulseX. That capability will always exist, and it's essential that it always exists. Okay, but that doesn't mean you have to do that, and it doesn't always mean that that's the best option to get value out of your PXDC. If you use tools such as Pateus, Pateus.io, that has it kind of aggregates and it searches across PulseChain, finds you the best rates. You'll often, especially in reasonable quantities of tokens, get a way better rate for simply swapping out of your PXDC into something you want than trying to come and redeem into the protocol. Right now, the redemption fee is maybe 1.5%. You don't pay 1.5% to do a swap, right? To do a swap, it's usually point something of a fee. So depending on the peg of the stable coin and the slippage amount and stuff, you could get close to what you would get for redemption, but you need to check. Like the idea of a redemption is not, hey, I'm going to use this as a swap platform. Whenever I want to swap out a PXDC, I must go redeem. That's not the case. If you want to swap, you just go swap. I think what's been happening, and people are starting to learn better, is people are going to PulseX to do their swaps. And as much as we love PulseX and the tools Richard has built for us, as far as stable coins, the algorithm for PulseX is not the greatest. It's an X times Y equals K formula, which is very good for volatility, which is opposite of what you want for stable coins. So Curve, Balancer, PHUX, these sorts of pools use a completely different algorithm that some believe is like concentrated liquidity. It's more complex than that. But it basically makes the most efficient way possible to swap from two tokens that are supposed to be the same value, stable coins, and get the most outcome, right? So swapping on PulseX, let's say you wanted to swap 10,000 stable coins into another stable coin. You could lose hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Maybe you'd swap 10,000 PXDC and you'd end up with like 8,500 die or something. And you're like, wow, that's horrible. Well, how am I losing 1,500? But then you do the same swap, even if it's thinner liquidity in Balancer or PHUX, you're like, oh, I'm going to swap 10,000 stable coins and I'm going to get 9,980 die. Okay. And it's simply because of the algorithm they use. So as much as we love PulseX and it's cool and it's great for swapping normal tokens, it literally is not the best for swapping stable coins. So that's why you have to use other tools such as Pateus or go straight to PHUX and find the best rates instead of just assuming, oh, the rate sucks on PulseX, let me go redeem. No, you shouldn't. Don't just race off to redeem because the rate on PulseX sucks. Go look somewhere else where the rate is good.
It's kind of like shopping, right? Like you wouldn't just buy the first thing that you saw. You'd compare prices. Maybe you go to different websites. So my advice would be, if you're thinking of swapping some PXDC, yeah, go into the protocol, check the redemptions versus Pateus or PHUX and see what you get. Because if you can get more for your money somewhere else, then that's going to be the smarter option. So yeah, comparison between these sites and the redemption tool, it would be something to keep at the forefront of your mind if you're holding some PXDC and you want to swap that. And another thing that is happening is we're pretty much halfway through the emission period for liquidity providing over in the protocol. So if I could bring this up, we can see that if you provide liquidity, you can still farm earn tokens, right?
Correct. So you can provide liquidity over on PulseX using PXDC and PulseX or earn and PulseX, and either pools there. If you stake those LP tokens in right here on the screen in front of you, you'll get an emission of earn tokens. Now that doesn't mean that the incentives end when this period ends, because over on PHUX, there's infinite incentives to do similar things, right? So you can go over there and you can drop your PXDC into the Oracle and Bridge pool and get an emission of PHUX tokens, right? And that incentive will never end. It will go on for eternity. Well, not eternity, but for all intents and purposes, longer than you'll care for.
I mean, we've touched on this before, but there's just multiple ways to make yield, right? And if your money is just sitting in the bank, in legacy finance, obviously it's just gathering dust. It's not doing anything for you. And it's the same in DeFi. If you're just sitting in your wallet and you could have it working for you, whether liquidity providing, you could be farming earn tokens with those LP tokens in the protocol, or you could bring it into your stable coins into PHUX. And let's have a look at the percentage right now for that. What is the pool? So you're getting APR currently 13.29% up to 20.75%. So that's a lot tastier than anything you could find in legacy finance, right?
Right. And as the chain goes back up in value, PulseX, and it drags things like PHUX token up in value, that number will go up too.
So many options, but 30 days left, around 30 days left for also farming earn tokens. So TikTok, guys, that's not going to be around forever. We've also touched on this many times before, but we have the staking pool, the stability pool and the staking pool, where people can put their tokens to work for them. So let's just touch on that again.
Yep. So the stability pool, all you have to do is drop some stable coins into there. You're supporting the ecosystem by being ready to purchase any liquidated PulseX should that happen, which is like super rare, by the way, because the total collateral health of the system is 350%. Like nobody's been getting liquidated recently at all. There's been Like the whole protocol, there's been a handful of liquidations, it feels like.
Mm.
So what else do you get while you're sitting in there if you're not buying liquidated PulseX at a discount? Well, you're getting an emission of earn tokens. And why might you want those? Because that's where you get the fees. When you stake the earn tokens into the staking pool, you now collect PXDC and PulseX whenever there's mints of the stablecoin or redemptions of the stablecoin.
Yeah, so I mean, you can have your stable coins parked in there. Like you said, you could pick up some PLSX, but more likely you're farming earn tokens as well, which have their own utility, and then you can stake those for fees in the system. So in the earn staking pool, you're also a fee collector right there. So that's another option. Obviously, you could, for whether you're getting your earn from the stability pool or farming it from your PLP tokens, you can do what you want with those earn tokens. Of course, you can sell them, you can do what you want, but also you can stake them here and get more yield. So DeFi yield on top of yield.
Absolutely.
And before we wrap this up, let's touch on the core, because that is the core of the
so a percentage of all the fees from our protocols flows into the core staking mechanism. That doesn't mean all of the fees, right? So for example, earn protocol, you can stake your earn tokens directly in earn protocol and get your percentage of the fees. Some of the fees from earn though flow into here. The fees from Portal X, they all flow into here. The fees from our next thing, they're going to flow into here. Actually, a lot of those fees, like I think something like 26% or something. So every protocol that we launch is feeding the core. You can come in here and you can stake Watt tokens or LP tokens if you're a liquidity provider for Watt. And you get a bonus for doing that as well. And you can collect all sorts of tokens. You can collect PXDC. You can collect PulseX. You can collect Pulse. Here soon, you'll be able to collect other tokens. Every time we launch something, more tokens become whitelisted, and you're just earning more and more free things.
So we've got Portal X feeding it, Earn currently. We've got Amplifier coming, Pixel Park, other things that are coming that can feed, that are going to feed this. So everything in the Power City ecosystem will be feeding back to the core. And we can see the reward pool there ticking up the whole time as people use our dApps. So yeah, just check out the core. Obviously, all the links are in the description box below. I know you're tight on time today, Jesse, so it's a quick one just to get you on here. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this one up?
It's important to stay positive, right? So the chain is currently in like a dip, and it seems like whenever things are in a dip, people get scared, people start fighting, people start leaving, and like throwing rocks at each other through their computer screens and stuff. And it's look, these things go up and down. We have a lot of good builders on the chain. We have a lot of cool tools, and things should get better. And regardless of what like the rest of the chain is doing, these tools still function and do exactly what they're supposed to do. And you can do, you know why I like stablecoins so much? It's
Why's
because if you do the right things with your stablecoins, it almost doesn't matter what the rest of the chain is, like what the other tokens around you are doing. Because if a stablecoin is worth $1 or very close to, how do you ever lose value if you're just yielding off of a stablecoin?
Yep.
Right. So there's all sorts of ways to put your money to work for you, even on a chain that isn't performing the way you might want it to right now.
I think getting into crypto, number one, yes, it's all about, for the newbie, number go up. But once you start understanding how you can get your money working for you through protocols, true DeFi protocols and stable coins and what's not, yeah, you still want the number to go up because, of course, you want to, you know, take some gains and what's not. But you also know that you have this money working for you, and you're getting yield every hour on the hour, you know, or whatever.
Mhm.
So good advice there. Good stoic advice there from Jesse. Thanks for your time, man. And we'll see you next week.
All right. See ya.
And guys, if you want any more info on Portal-X Swap, the Power City Core, and the Earn Protocol, links are below in the description box. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.